Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about object-oriented programming, otherwise known as OOP. This is a really important video as OOP is the basis of Objective-C and many other programming language. It's essential. We're not going to be able to get anything real done in Objective-C programming if we don't know about OOP. Now don't be concerned if you find this a little abstract from the start and you don't completely understand it. In later videos, we're going to use Objective-C objects in classes, and we're even going to write our own classes to make objects from. So just bear with me here. I'm going to do my best to explain it from a higher level, and then we're going to get into it in the videos to follow. Before we even talk about objects, let's talk about classes, because objects are of a particular class. Objects are made from a class. So people like to describe the class as a blueprint to create objects, a molding for objects to be created from, a factory in which objects are pumped out of. There's a lot of different analogies. Let's just say that objects are of a particular class. Now, this picture right here represents a class. Let's say it represents a class because right now this car is not filled in. It's dotted off. It's almost as if the car does not exist. This isn't an actual car object. What a class does is explain what the car object is supposed to have. And there's two things objects are going to have in general. That's attributes or properties and behavior. And you can think of this methods as behavior. Methods are actually functions that represent the object's behavior. Now, this is a class right here, so it's not the object yet. And you can see attributes, properties. We have fuel, max speed. We could have color, size, weight, model, year, make. And then methods or behavior, we could have fuel, refuel, set speed, drive, open windows, pop trunk, change tire, and so on and so forth. So you can tell that this is vague. It just says fuel and max speed and refuel and set speed. But the thing is, we haven't given it a max speed. We don't have a color yet. We haven't said anything about drive. We're just defining this. That's because this is what you're going to find in a class, not specifics, a blueprint. You can think of the object as when we actually create a car from this blueprint, and this line is filled in. Now we have an object, and we can give it a fuel, we can give it a max speed, and we can give it the ways that it's actually going to drive, actually going to set the speed or get the speed. So all in all, we're using the class to create the object. Everything that's defined in the class will be represented in the object, which you can think of as a specific entity in our program to be used that contains all of this code defined by the class. Let's move away from this car example for a second and think about you, the person who's watching this video. Let's pretend that you are an object in a program. You're in the Matrix or something. You're in the program I'm writing, let's say. You're an object, so you're going to have specific attributes or properties. These can be your height, weight, hair color, eye color, your specific skill sets, maybe languages that you speak, strength, speed, age. These are all attributes that you have. And then on the flip side, behavior or methods could be things like eat, go to sleep, run, walk, study, and that could be defined by method specific functions that say how you go about doing those things, how you sleep, how you eat, how you study, and whatever else that you do. Now, you're an object, but let's say your class is class human being. So that would be your particular class. And human being has all these things defined within it as a class. It has eat, sleep, study, socialize, and it can have attributes and properties that are age, height, eye color, weight, languages spoken. But the class human being doesn't really have those things defined. It just lists them. You, as a person, as an object, actually have a specific age, a specific height, a specific amount and type of languages that you speak. And also, you have your own ways of eating, you have your own ways of sleeping, you have your own ways of studying, you have your own ways of socializing, or or whatever it is that you do as a human being. So you can think of it that way. The class is human being and the object is you. You are of class human being, but you have your own specifics about you. Let's just wrap some things up before I keep rambling about objects and classes. I said in Objective-C we're going to be using classes all the time, and we already have. We haven't used the class for this integer, it's a primitive data type, but this is an object reference. This is a reference to an object. The object is an instance of the class NSString. And even when I type in NSString, you'll see over here this says C, and that's for class. NSString is a class, the NSString class and its mutable subclass. And you can also see plenty of other classes. All you have to do is type NS. In Objective-C, a lot of the classes are prefixed with NS because NS represents Next Step, which is one of the companies that Steve Jobs founded. If you want a history lesson, go ahead and look up Next Step with Steve Jobs and you can learn more about this. But even if I try to type in something like NSDate, we'll see that's a class that's provided to us, and you can see all these other classes, C, C, C. So we're going to be using them all the time. We're even going to make our own. Hopefully this has cleared up object-oriented programming just a little bit. You're starting to understand some things. So understanding the class and the object are your first steps. So if that's starting to clear up, you're off to a great start. Now there are a lot of concepts that come with object-oriented programming. Some of these are inheritance, encapsulation, composition, polymorphism, but we'll get into that later. For now, let's just understand the class and the object.